You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. So we've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. He is denigrating, he's talking down our democracy. And I, for one, am appalled that somebody who is the nominee of one of our two major parties would take that kind of position.
That was Secretary Clinton not even 8 weeks ago, slamming President-elect Trump for daring to suggest that the election results might just be up for debate. But Mrs. Clinton was far from alone. The larger media never missed a beat when it came to denouncing Mr. Trump for declaring the election was in danger of being rigged. Watch this.
Donald Trump has forfeited any right to serve as the American president because he has violated one of the basic tenets of our democracy.
It's dangerous, I think, in the future for this, in some ways, for our country. People are really feeling like this election is going to be rigged.
The real danger here is that when Trump lies to his supporters about the others who are trying to steal the election, some of his supporters believe him. Mr. Trump, think of your children. America is great partly because everyone accepts the results of elections for decades in the past and hopefully for decades to come. Inventing a conspiracy theory is no way to make America great again.
Now that November 8th has come and gone with results some in the media seem to outright despise, we've noticed outlets like the New York Times have done a complete 180 on that rigging claim. Back in October, the Times wrote, top Republicans must reject the ridiculous notion that a national election can be rigged. But now they're singing a different tune, proclaiming failing to resolve the questions about Russia would feed suspicion among millions of Americans that a dominant theme of his candidacy turned out to be true. The election was indeed rigged. Here to break down the About Face is Media Buzz host Howie Kurtz. Good to see you tonight, Howie.
Hi, Shannon.
All right, so tell us a little bit about this. I mean, where are we going here? Because you read the papers, we all read them 8 weeks ago, and now we're hearing a different tune today.
The media went haywire when Trump used to talk again and again about a rigged election because the feeling was he was just setting up an alibi for himself after Hillary Clinton inevitably would win the race. Well, now, as you just quoted, New York Times and other outlets saying, hey, there could be a rigged election here because of the Russian hacking allegations. The Times says there's a darkening cloud over over Trump's presidency. And a liberal Times columnist, Paul Krugman, just today says the election is tainted in part because of the hackers and in part because Hillary won the popular vote, except that this electoral college thing, it's in the Constitution.
It is. We've all read it. You've probably got your pocket Constitution. I keep one in my purse, so we know that's actually a fact. But, is there any explanation or any self-reflection by any of these media outlets, do you think, who are flip-flopping? And did they have copies of what they wrote a few weeks ago?
Self-reflection is not a great quality in the mainstream media. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a lot more hand-wringing about the way this past race was covered. And look, I take these CIA allegations of Russian hacking seriously. The fact that they were leaked anonymously to the Washington Post makes it harder to discern just what is real. It's all very murky, as often is the case in spycraft. But now that we have John Podesta, asking for the electors to get a special briefing, which is only one reason you would ask for that if you were in the Clinton campaign, and that is to get them to flip away from Donald Trump. The more the media play this up, I think the more they will be embracing a kind of a fringe theory that really could end up stealing the election from the guy who won 306 electoral votes.
But I thought the fringe was suggesting something crazy like a national election could be rigged.
Well, look, I mean, everyone knows that even if it turns out to be true, and I think there should be an investigation, that Russian hackers were trying to undermine the election, we're obviously in favor of Trump and not Hillary Clinton. The idea that this flipped the election when what really turned the election was Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, where Hillary Clinton barely campaigned in two of those states, and where Donald Trump made that connection with white working-class voters who rejected the Democratic nominee. That's what turned this election. So now to try to say, well, if only it had not been for Vladimir Putin, Hillary Clinton would have won, strikes me as kind of sour grapes. But I think this is going to get quite a ride in the media before the electors finally vote, Shannon.
All right, and there's still so many unanswered questions, so we'll stay on it. We know you will. Howie, good to see you.
Indeed. Same here.
All right.